happy Valentine's Day. So, my co-host will be joining in, and one of our guests, Paco Manalo, will go ahead and join us tonight. And this is going to be our Valentine's Day special. So, I want you guys to tune in. We're going to go ahead and talk about how do we, like, you know, paano ba natin sinusolusyonan ang problema natin. Um, what type of music do we listen to in terms of us na, para maging masaya. Yan. So we have Paco here joining in. Hey, Paco.
Hey, hey.
What's up, bro?
Doing good, doing good. How are you?
All good, brother. Steady. Alam mo yun? Ano lang tayo? Tamang podcast lang tayo. Tamang tahimik. Tamang kwentuhan. Kamusta ka? Kamusta ka?
Oh, same old, same old. Not like before. It's like, work, family, and all that stuff.
Mm. That's good. I mean, it's been years, bro. We've
Yeah.
connected. It's been years that we've talked, to each other. But just to give guys, just to give you guys brief info about Paco. He's a good friend of mine, like since high school. We used to skate before. Musical background niya is alam mo, yun, naalala ko yung nagja-jump pa kami niya nila Paco before. He's playing bass and playing guitars while singing. Tapos we have our own drummer, si, ano ba ito kayo? Medyo mataba.
You know
Si,
what? I don't remember.
taga Performance. Si LA. Si LA.
Ah, yeah,
Remember?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we used to play with LA before. Those were the time na hindi pa kami nung wife ko, ni Cutie. And, So yun, Paco is into photography right now. Teka lang, meron ako isa pa yung join. Hey, brother Cleon. Yeah, Cleon is my co-host for Music Unit. So we have we have Paco as our guest for tonight. Paco is my previous bandmate.
Hmm.
Wait na ko siya dati. Tapos kasama ko siya nag-skate, bro. Solid skate group kami na wala kaming ginawa kundi mag-skate maghapon.
Skating ka pala?
Oh, after school we skates. Tapos
Yeah.
Okay.
after Tugtog skate, after gig skate, yan, yung trip namin before. So Paco is into digital photography now. Um,
Oh,
you know,
nice.
yes. So Pax, can you share your how do you do your photo? I mean, ako, my first question I guess would be, how did you transition from you know from your regular Joe, yung tayo-tayo, yung tambay-tambay, then
Yeah.
regular Joe going to the office, tapos paano ka napunta sa photography, bro?
That's funny, man. Kasi like I guess I always wanted to do it, but it wasn't like something I just focused on. It was a frustration. Kasi like even nung bata ako when I was a kid, my dad had a camera that I'd play around with, diba?
Mm-hmm.
But they wouldn't, of course, like being like a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 7-year-old kid, they won't like let you hold the camera or play around with it, diba?
Mm-hmm.
So it's something I always wanted to explore kahit na nung high school ako and so on. Actually, um nung high school, like looking forward into like college yung time na yun, I did want to take up something like photography or journalism but never really explored it, had the opportunity to explore it. Until like later on na ayun. I worked for a friend who he had several cameras. So he'd lend me his cameras. I'd borrow one camera and he had tons of lenses. So that's how I got into practicing it.
I see. So basically, bro, ganito yan di ba? Parang if you're into photography, alam mo yun, it's somehow art as well. Basically, it's art, no? Pareho lang eh. Kasi
Actually, oh.
the main
Yeah.
reason why I invited you over here is, just to let you know, guys, Paco will be shooting our intro for Music Unit. He will be giving us tips and tricks further on as we progress the whole podcast session. So, meron akong isang naalala na i-share the video for um, one of your shoots recently will be with a
Yeah.
coffee shop.
Yeah.
So can you share something about your coffee shop experience, like the video and everything?
Yeah, sure. I mean that's a funny story in itself. Cause see, like, so I've been doing photography for some time, and then I wanted to like get into like video. 'Cause, you know, they sort of there's an overlap with photography and videography, diba? And I wanted to do like if you watch like Daniel Schiffer or the other videographers that are on YouTube and they shoot like advertisements and stuff, right? They do a lot of that
Mm-hmm.
handheld, and I wanted to do that. So what I ended up doing was messaging like local cafes, and there
Mm-hmm.
was one that was popping up on my news feed, so I messaged them, and that's Sevi Coffee in Taguig. So I messaged them, and they were like, they kind of saw the message, but they didn't reply. So that's when I filmed that coffee B-roll video, yung mag-isa ako, like making coffee. That's where that came from. So I made that video and then I sent it to them like, hey, I want to do something like this. And then they replied
Oh,
and they said like, oh, sure, yeah, let's do that, set it up. So that was back in like January and we just shot like over the weekend. And then I sent you the link. That was the video.
oo, oo. Solid actually
But,
pag ano, gusto ko siya play dito eh. If we can, if we have time enough or ample time to play it. Actually, solid talaga siya. I mean, if you're gonna go and take a look at advertisements from Clay, mahilig tayo sa ganyan, mga videography, like,
yes.
B-rolls and everything.
Mhm.
By the way, Cleon is into arts as well. He plays music, R&B music. So parang doon kami nagkasundo na parang bro, tayo, gawa tayo ng mga podcast natin, mga channels and everything, Tapos, um, kaya na nahilig kami sa mga ganun, yung mga parang magbi-b-roll tayo, gagawa tayo ng mga ganito, parang ano magiging itsura. Actually, his team will be the one who's be editing my videos eh. The podcast videos, the special podcast videos. So, parang
Nice.
sila yung mag-handle na nun. Um, you know, most probably, kasi when we talk about videography, there are music na nakalatag dyan, di ba?
Mhm.
May kadikit na music yan eh. So
Yeah.
how do you choose how do you choose your type of music that you're gonna go ahead and do for your B-rolls?
So like with the cafe with the Sevi Coffee, I started with the music actually. Like I know I wanted to do like a cafe video. So what I did was I started going through a catalog of music, and what I use is Upbeat. So you can go to upbeat.io and they have like a listing of music. So I just go through that and find something that would fit like the cafe vibe, right? So once I find like the music that I like, that's when I start, looking at videos and creating like shot lists of how I want to shoot the video.
So dun pumapasok, kunwari, so upbeat, are we talking about EDM music? EDM na music pa yun, no? Ano ba EDM? Ano ba ibig sabihin EDM?
Electronic dance music.
Yeah, electronic
Okay.
dance music. Yeah.
Music, okay. Sorry, pardon. Kasi alam mo, bro, totoo to. Paco and I, we're a little old school, pare. We were
Mm.
born in the same year. Actually,
Yeah.
batchmates kami. Tapos, we're into those music na parang punk rock,
Mhm.
emo, emo rock music type na ano. So, we're not into EDM. But you mentioned na doon ka pumapasok sa B-roll eh. Parang yung paggamit mo ng mga videos ng B-roll mo. Sa EDM ka nag... Sa EDM ba? Or is it just upbeat like scat? Mga ganun.
So Upbeat's it's a website like Epidemic Sound. So they have a mix of genres. So there is like EDM, they have jazz, they have something that's a bit like more rock and roll. So you can go through like their selection.
Mm.
But I try to find one that fits like the theme of the shoot. Like with the Sevi Coffee, what I wanted to do, and what you want to do with advertisement videos is like show the area, the restaurant, like what the vibe is, and like show the
Mhm.
food, diba?
Yeah.
So once I found that music, na para medyo chill, na cafe, na not really jazzy. I wouldn't call it jazzy. It's a bit, yeah, I guess sort of like ED. Not no, I don't think it's EDM, but it's very chill music share. And that's when I started like planning out the
Mm.
shots.
Well, to add, no, brother Paco and brother Adrian, I think EDM is ano it's a genre, pero marami siyang ano marami siyang scope eh. And I think magdi-deeper siya in terms of BPM, no? So,
Yeah.
going by the sense of EDM, sabi nga, di ba, electronic dance music. Pero actually, ang daming ano nasa loob niyan. There's house music, trance, trance progressive, ang daming yan. And
Sorry,
depende sa
thought na
BPM
yung
eh.
EDM is yun na yung EDM eh. Parang, ano
No,
yung tawag doon?
no.
Panahon natin, yung
Dubstep.
push me, and then you touch me. Yung satisfaction. Ako tawa-tawa. Yung ganong music. That's
Yeah.
how we classify EDM. Ano tawag dyan? Parang psychedelic na ano,
Ah,
rave music. So, all I thought, the EDM, sorry, I have to ask Leo. Ano ko si Clay dito eh.
sure, sure.
Yung EDM, ikaw bro, on your own perspective, what EDM is?
Well, EDM kasi, coming from the acronym itself, it's electronic dance music. Pero technically, kaya naman nakarating yan sa electronic din, galing din naman sa instruments yan eh. And tinitwitch lang nila yan, not sure with the technicalities, pero tinitwitch lang din nila yan sa mixer. If you guys are familiar with dubstep,
O yun,
galing sa
yun.
drums yan actually. Galing sa drums yun, yung tunog ng dubstep. It's a matter of ina-adjust lang ng device mo, in layman's term. Tapos ina-adjust nila, nagkakaroon ng looping. Then basically that's it. It's creating another flavor of music.
So
Then
technically, EDM parang techno dati. No? Ganun.
yes, actually.
Yeah.
Ang panahon nyo nun is sila Tiesto ang kilala.
Grabe sa panahon natin eh, no, Paco?
Sorry,
Paco,
sorry, sorry. Kasi
no,
panahon na.
actually, iba nga yung music before. That's actually true. Alam mo, that's hindi ko pagkakaila yun. It's good. Pero, yun na ba yung techno ngayon? EDM, in terms of techno.
Well, pwede mong sabihin, no? Pwede mong sabihin na yes, yun yung techno on the during for the 2010s, no?
Mhm.
Yun, pwedeng yun na yung sabihin mong techno. Pero at the end of the day, meron din kasing if you guys are familiar with Z, yan Z, yung sa kanta niyang Clarity, tapos meron din naman sila Disclosure, no? Diyan sumikat actually si Sam Smith. Yung kantang Latch, si Disclosure ang nagpasikat sa kanya.
Stan
And
Smith.
those are EDM. Ha?
Stan Smith pala yun. Stan Smith pala yun.
Hindi, Sam Smith yun eh.
Ayun. So, sa EDM, yun, sorry, Pax, in terms of, so depende sa vibe, ano? Kunwari, you're shooting something like a trance, techno style na coffee shop, doon mo papasok yung EDM music.
Yeah, yeah. So like in this case with Sevi Coffee, I don't think like something like EDM or techno would work about like cafe nga, diba? So it's a chill vibe, yeah. Yeah. You don't want something heavy and like rock, diba? Kasi like it's not gonna fit the mood and the vibe then.
So, kunwari,
Medyo chill.
so let's say, kunwari, brother, you'll be shooting let's say, a bar. Ito, may tanong ako sa'yo. Paano pag sinut mo yung ilaw-ilaw? ako bro, nag-shoot ka ng ilaw-ilaw. Let's say, you know, uh, ilaw-ilaw in terms of, ano tawag dito? The bar. May mga sumasayaw na babae. What do you, kung ikaw, strobe light na bar, anong gagamitin mo music?
Most likely EDM, man. Probably something fast paced, a quick cut. Because I don't know, I wouldn't wanna focus like on that. Like man, you're putting me on the spot. But yeah, probably something EDM, something techno, something fast paced.
You're gonna focus the techno.
Yeah, because you're gonna have like you said, so they're gonna have like flashing lights and lasers, diba? And those usually shift around, and they move around, and the color shifts around. So you want something fast that would match like the whole vibe of the colors and shifting and all that.
Brother Paco, I
Oo,
have a
siya.
question pala.
Yeah.
Yeah, given you do videography and photography, no? I would like to know, brother, if kasi sa videography, may marami kang pwedeng gawin eh. Depende kung paano yung zoom in and zoom out. Ang daling lagyan ng buhay ng videography. Pero ang tingin kong challenging really is yung photography. How can you put let's say a feeling, no? Kasi kapag sa videography, gusto mo malungkot na film, babagalan mo yung pacing. Pero
Yeah.
pagdating sa photography, paano mo gagawin yun? Paano mo incorporate yung feelings? Paano mo incorporate yung kwento sa isang picture? So
Yeah.
doon
Yeah.
talaga ako namamangha sa mga photographer. How can you tell a story with that? How can you tell a story sa isang bagay na hindi kinetic?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mismo.
So like,
How, parang
yeah.
sa akin, how does music connect to it eh?
Mm.
The type of, what type of music do you use? Paano ginagawa ng isang videographer ang isang, isang scene na may connect sa music?
Yes, yes.
Yung ibang tanong dun eh, no? Oo.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely have more tools with video. Like, diba, you have your video, and then you have composition and movement of that video of the scene, and then you also have music to set the mood. Diba? With a photo, you don't
Mm.
have that. Diba? But
Mhm.
it's still like, if you look at film in general, if you eliminate the movement and just freeze frame it on one still frame, you can still capture that vibe even without the music. Like, think like mga Wes Anderson films, or even like Lord of the Rings. But if you think of like Lord of the Rings, the shots are like wide and majestic, diba?
Mhm.
If you freeze frame that, it'll still look majestic when, like, with the mountains and everything. You just don't have the music and the movement, but visually it still captures that emotion, that vibe.
So
Pero,
basically, sorry. Emotions, no? Y-
Yeah,
Kasi merong merong still photography na tinatawag eh, di ba? And
yeah,
syempre still photography is yung nandiyan lang siya. Pero merong mga video siya. Para alam mo, ako kung naglalakad ako sa SM, tapos merong, alam mo yung mga ina-advertise sa mga TV, tapos meron sila mga sample videos na pinapakita, like a gecko na tumagapang na sobrang bagal, tapos yung definition niya, sobrang ganda. Pero nakukulangan ako kasi I don't hear the music. I don't hear the sound of those. Alam mo yun, wala yung tunog ng nature and everything. So, yung ba yung pinopoint? Parang, ewan ka, sorry, enlighten me on this. Parang, do you really think it's really important to have background music for all the scenes that you, parang lahat ng shoot mo?
for video.
Oh,
I mean, it's definitely like a tool. So like, that's a wonderful thing. Like, when you talk about like photography and videography, diba? They all have their own set of challenges and disadvantages,
mm,
and that overlapping that we speak of, it's part of our what we call our toolkit or toolbox. Na you can pull out and use audio, or you can pull out and use lighting to help with the scene, with the message, or whatever you're shooting,
okay.
diba? But you don't always have to use it. There are some movies like, if I remember, there was a section like the old school, like Alien, nine, with Sigourney Weaver. I think there was like some sections of scenes that there's no music. It's just sound, diba? Like the environment, and it adds to the
mm.
tension, diba? So like, it isn't
Talaga
So
all
ba?
you're
about.
saying,
You call, have you
sige,
guys
go.
already watched yung movie na, no? Na Quiet Place?
Yeah,
Di ba? Parang wala rin naman tunog dun eh.
yeah,
Oh, yan nga.
Pero nga
Ito naman.
lang,
Eh,
yeah.
sana
That's a
nilalagay nila noisy place, di ba? Noisy place, ingay. Thrash metal yung tumutunog sa likod. No! Pag nanood ka nun, parang, ang noisy! Ang hirap nun, di ba? So, a
yeah,
quiet
yeah.
place. Oo nga, wala rin yan. No? Walang
wala
kahit
rin, wala talaga yun.
audible na nila.
Yeah.
Audible na talaga. Like, nag-uusap sila.
Mm-mm.
Parang ito, testing natin. Mag-usap tayo ng walang background music. Di ba, ang dull? Parang,
Ganyan lang.
hindi, yun yung yun yung gusto kong tanongin kay Pax eh, wherein, is it really necessary for videography to have those background music?
There's a very good analogy for that. Parang ano yan eh, like a painting. You
Mm,
have so many colors. You don't have to use them all. Diba? It's like, what fits this painting that I'm doing? You can use two, three colors. You can choose to use one color, diba? So parang ganyan, it's the same thing with like sound. Like, do you need so much sound? Do you need background music? Do you just need Foley music? Foley.
mm.
So it depends on what you're shooting and how you're shooting. Na your choice whether to put music or not. Yeah, yun. It'll help add to the feeling.
Okay, okay. Ayun, kasi that's how I picture it. Na, kunwari, itong podcast, di ba? Ah, ako kasi parang dal ang isang bagay na walang music. That's what I'm trying to point out. That's basically how I picture it. But that brings me a question, bro. Kung in terms of music, what kind of music do you like? Ano ba yung para sa'yo na swak sa lahat ng bagay? Parang kumbaga ngayong Feb 14, di ba? Pare-pareho tayo sa ako personally, if you're gonna ask me,
Yeah.
I'm not hindi ako sweet person eh. Alam mo yun. I put punk and I even isang paborito kong kanta na tinutugtog para sa asawa ko will be
Yeah.
the love song of 311. Actually, it's from The Cure, but if I'm gonna go ahead and maglalambing sa kanya, I'll play 311 love song or Sum 41 with me. Yan, ganyan. Ganyan yung mga type of music ko. Ikaw, Clay, what kind of music do you like? Feb 14
Depende sa mood
special
eh.
to.
Feb
Ito,
14.
hindi itong and this
Oh,
specific
okay,
mood.
okay, okay.
Ano yung tutugtugin o kakantahin mo sa asawa mo?
Ano talaga, Wonderful Tonight. Yan. Given na mahilig
Sexy
ako sa
time.
ballad and mahilig ako sa
Sexy
ballad
time.
and R&B. Ganun.
So, yun sa'yo.
Yun yan. How about you, brother Pak?
That's I am not I'm not a very ano eh, like Adrian, I'm not like touchy feely romantic. Um but I know like one song that um Christine, my partner, likes is might sound corny and it's probably what I'm gonna go for, but it's ano 1,000 years.
Oh, the song from,
Okay.
yung sa,
Yeah,
ano pangalan niya? Yung mga
Is this
vampira. No?
Christina Perry? Tama ba?
yeah.
Oh, ano palabas yun? Yung vampira? Twilight.
Twilight.
Oh, nandyan sila Chico Say eh. Shout out, bro. Sir Mabel stuff mo. Oh,
God.
Chico Say. Oh, hindi ka namin tinatawa na. Hindi kasi dati, alam mo, pasok ko tayo kay Chico Say. Share ko lang. Chico Say is really, alam mo yun, hindi sila, actually emo sila, pero hindi sila vampira. Di ba pasok yung era na naging vampira?
Yun nga yung biro nila ni Jay Contreras sa kanila, di ba? Ito yung mga tropa naming vampira.
I was talking to Jesso Monteo. Shout out, Boss Jesso Monteo. He will be one of our guests here in Musicarong Unit. He's the drummer of Willa Baliw. Nag-uusapan namin yan. Sabi ko, buti na lang hindi ka nag-transition over to emo rock, no? Mga ganyan-ganyan. Parang, sabi niya, hindi naman eh. Sabi ko, tinan mo sila, Boss Miggy. Gusto mo talaga mabuhay na mas matagal, mga 300 years. Sali ka sa Chico. 300 years yan. Lagpas pa. Siguro habang buhay kang buhay. Yun. Pero, going back to the topic, what kind of music do you... Sa'yo, Wonderful Tonight, ano?
Oo, pare. Yun talaga eh.
Wonderful Tonight. So, gusto mo talaga yung sexy time, eh, no?
Siyempre.
Yun, the sexy time. Manager ko yun. Yung mga gusto niya yan. Pero Wonderful Tonight, ano may naalala ko dyan eh. Whenever yung Wonderful Tonight na tumutugtog, huling-huling babae na lang din ako sa tumutugtog. Nakasayaw dyan. Diba? Yes,
Pag prime time naman, Lady in Red.
Lady in Red. Naka-bra at saka panty, nakakulay-kulay yan. Oy, explicit tayo.
Suy.
14 special, diba?
Basta pa.
Tapos biglang papasok. Yes, we would like. Nasa natin echo. We would like to call in the star of the night. Tapos, ang ano niya, ang pangalan niya, merong kaduktong. Kunwari,
Madalas sa rin eh. Scarlett yun eh.
diba? O si Amanda, diba? Si Amanda. Our star of the night. Amazing. Amanda. Tapos, ayun na rin. Lady in Red.
Oh my
They
Paano mo
god.
nalaman yun? Paano mo nalaman yung mga ganyan?
actually ano eh, naalala ko yung hypocrite ko. Alam naman ni Kathleen yan. Alam naman ni Cutie yan. Paco knows Cutie well.
Yeah.
I mean, we're good friends with Paco. Actually, parang ganito, parang tayo, Clay. We know the
Mm.
family of Paco. Ay, Paco knows my family, even my brothers. Tapos, tapos yung asawa ko, kilala niya, magkakasama kami. Yun, pumapasok naman ako dati dyan. Active ako dyan. Alam mo yun, before I enter to the order, lahat ng order na pinasukan ko, dyan ako active. Dyan ako nagbibigay ng ayuda. Sabi mo, gusto mo, pag-aralin kita. Ka-college pa. Saka tutulungan yung mga talaga relieve the distress na tunay. Yun. So, balik tayo kay Paco. Bakit mo? I mean, is that the song that you like for, yun talaga yung kakantahin mo para kay Christine?
I know that's what she likes. Like that's her thing. Yeah, yeah. For me,
But are
like,
you willing to do that, bro, para sa kanya?
sorry.
Willing kang tugtugin yan. Kung nagigitara ka, pag-aralan. Sabihin sa'yo, Paco, kantahan mo naman ako para kiligan ako. Ganun.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Tutugtugin mo.
sure. I wouldn't mind. I mean, dude, I haven't picked up a guitar in years, like years na talaga. Yeah, kasi I don't know. My priorities changed. Like ever since, like you can only juggle so much. Like when you become like a father. Like, we were talking like about like being a parent and how it's it's a game changer, diba?
Mm.
Yeah. So like you
Yeah.
realize you can only juggle so much, and that you have to put some things down, and you can't do it anymore. So like for me, like guitar. Yeah.
Isa-isa lang, no? Isa-isa lang. Kunwari, ito, niche mo, trip
Yeah.
talaga mag-photography lang, focus ka. Ako kasi iba-iba eh. Kunwari ngayon, magigitara ako, bukas mag-video na ako. Ewan ko, siguro there's just a lot of, may mga tao lang talagang matindi yung focal point. Sa akin kasi, I have the attention span of a 3-year-old eh. Kaya, yun ang problema. Pero sige, dito tayo sa next topic natin. What type of music do you dislike? Sa akin pare, ako, tanongin mo ako butots. Wala nang ibang tatalo pa. O hindi, ako, being honest, I'm a musician. We're all musicians. Even everyone's tuned in right now, yung mga naka-tune in ngayon. Shoutout pala kay Jeff Mataro, kay Jepoy. Yan. Siya
Hermano.
comment. Us, yan. Hermano, he's a good friend of mine. He's also my bassist for Kawangis. So, shoutout sa'yo, Hermano. So, budots talaga, bro. Since solid budots, I will go for budots. Kasi, number one, ginamit siya for political ads. Number two is, ginagamit siya ng mga marites. Pag ano tawag na? Ganun. I-zoom out ko yung ano mo yun? Yung nagaganon.
Zumba.
Ano yun? Nagsusumba ako. So every time that I hear budots, pare, naaalala ko yung mga marites. Ewan ko, ayan, lahat ng podcast, lahat ng episode ko, shoutout sa'yo, marites. Ikaw, Play. Ikaw. What type of music that you... ano yung pinaka-ayaw mong music sa kalambulan?
Ayoko. Marami magagalit dito. Pero hindi ko naman siguro hindi dahil hindi siya dislike, more on hindi ko na siya preferred. No. Pagandahin natin. Hindi siya yung preference ko. Hindi, para on a lighter note, kumbaga. Pagandahin natin, hindi siya yung preference ko. K-pop talaga. Hindi talaga. K-pop.
Gagi, yari ka dito.
Actually, alam ko na yan. No? Sorry, no?
Pero, yeah, we all have those dislikes, bro. Don't worry. Yes. I'm with you on that. Yeah, somehow K-pop.
Hindi ko pwede sabihin na kaya ayaw ko siya kasi hindi ko naintindihan dahil mahilig ako sa anime eh. No? So, bias masyado pag sinabi ko, ay, hindi ko kasi naintindihan yan, kaya hindi ko gusto yan eh. It's a matter of hindi ko siya gusto dahil hindi ko na siya gusto. Yun lang yun talaga.
Yun lang yun, solid.
Yun na yun. Hindi ko siya gusto dahil hindi ko siya gusto.
How about you, bro? Paco?
It's interesting because I listen to like different kinds of like music. Like there's so many kinds of music that I listen to, diba? But like um one thing I can say na parang I don't like na there's an artist I don't like. Siguro yung
Mm.
ano, what they call like mumble rap. Mga mumble rap.
Oh, okay.
Ano mumble rap? Yun ba yun, no?
Yeah, like that. There, yung ganyan, ganun, ganun.
Akala ko
Like,
mumble number 5.
kasi I don't know any artist that I don't know, and I don't like any artist that does like mumble rap na parang I don't know. I don't like it.
Give me
Pero
an
to,
example.
totoo.
Sino yung
Well,
mumble rap? Ano yung
local pare, local. Ito, nakakapikon to local. Si Pash Pash. If narinig mo siya, yan, mumble rap yun eh.
ding 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 ding.
Pash Pash. Flawless
Dapat,
yan,
oh.
bro. I agree with
Alam
you,
mo,
bro, pa.
shit.
Diba, like
We're
even
gonna
like Snoop Dogg and Eminem and like the OG rappers, diba? They make
Yes.
fun of mumble rap. And it's like,
we're gonna be for this. Pero sige, ako, ewan ko gusto ko tanggalin tong question na to sa, sa podcast. Pero kailangan yan eh. I mean, even for our guests, plug ko lang future guests, upcoming guests for Musikerong Unip for this week. It's gonna be Thursday. We'll start with Thursday. Eto hindi naman siya mumble rap, pero he's a rapper, he's a song artist. Choice of Moro Beats. That's gonna be 8 p.m. Followed by by KD Sunchild on February 18th. It's gonna be at 8 p.m. And our very special event comes on Saturday, February 19th, 8 p.m. with Sir Russell De La Cruz of Skytree. Call out to our sponsors as well. The Tapsi Project and BFRB. Thank you very much for giving the 50% discount vouchers. For all three events, two winners will be chosen from this. Pero um, also a shout out for one of our sponsors here in the channel, Black Empire. That's gonna be in Taguig, Black Empire Vape Shop in Taguig. And ang bagong pasok natin, sponsor, Zerka Sauce. Ang sauce. Lahat. Lalo ngayon, Feb 14, sarap yung hot sauce lagyan mo, di ba? Yun. So, shout out lang for Sir Izer Santiago, the CEO and owner of Zerka Sauce. Ayun. Alam mo, ang dami talagang, ako, para tayo nag-jive, no? Nag-combine yung power ng dislike natin ng music. Ako, yung parehong sinabi nyo, agree ako doon eh. Lagay ko na lang sa perspective. Actually, yung budots, maybe it's more on the jolog side, ano?
Jolens kasi talaga.
So, pero hindi naman ako astig, hindi naman ako ano, pero may taste naman ako sa music. Alam mo yan. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel to get more updates on our latest podcast at youtube.com/musicaringunip. I'll see you there. Pasok naman tayo sa ano. May tanong ko sa'yo, Clay.
Sige, pare.
What's gonna be the most embarrassing time na, diba, ikaw nagsa-sound trip ka. Tapos by accident, you played your phone. Di ba yung phone mo? Wala akong sample phone. Yung phone mo, di ba? Nag-earphones ka dapat. Tapos, looking at you, kasi you were the supervisor of this team, for example. Tapos magsa-sound trip ka sa station mo, ipa-plug in mo yung earphones mo. Unfortunately, hindi siya pumasok.
Hindi nakapasok yung bone jack.
Oo, you played the music na sobrang lakas and everyone was able to hear it. Ano yung, may moment ka ba na gano'n? Yung embarrassing talaga na narinig ng team ko.
Meron, pero hindi music. Meron, pero hindi siya music. Nanonood ako ng video sa cellphone ko. Kasi wala akong earphones man. Sabay natodo yung volume ko. Sabi nga parang nagbabrowse ako sa Facebook. Alam mo yung prank na parang video siya na normal. Sabay may umuungol sa dulo.
Oo.
Yun. Nadali na ako nun. Nadali na ako.
BI. Ikaw pa.
yeah.
Alam mo,
No, I was gonna say like that was probably gonna be the same answer para sa akin. Kasi that thing never fails to like catch you off guard na parang eventually you're eventually gonna bump into a video like that and it's gonna play on loudspeaker.
Parang ano eh, di ba? Parang ako nga ngayon, I'll be honest ako, pag nag-scroll ako ng videos, yung, di ba yun yung bar, yung forward ko muna hanggang dulo, tapos hihinaan ko. Yung parang isang dB lang, isang dB volume lang yung adjust ko. Pakinggan ko lang siya, isang click lang. Okay, safe. Tapos unahin ko. Minsan kasi alam mo may mga loko-loko na nasa gitna eh. Alam mo yun, nasa gitna na siya. Ang galing ng pagkakamit.
Okay.
Kaya ito yung podcast natin. Minsan, pag ito, pinag-trip ako, nilagay ko sa gitna, biglang uungol. Ang sarap eh, di ba? Ang dami kasi ng magagaling na editor na ngayon na, alam mo yun, na, actually, yun din yung sagot ko dyan. Yun. Pero sa akin, meron akong time. Kasi, this is by accident eh. I was driving. Nasusukat ako nito eh, sa may Lopez. So, sabi ko, nag-iossi pa ako nun. Nag-iossi ako sa kotse, binaba ako yung bintana. Tapos pa ng loob ko, men. Hindi pa, ano pa yun, ang gamit ko nun yung iPod na, yung single lang, walang screen. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Yung iPod na walang screen, yung the very first iPod.
I-shuffle.
Yeah, yung mga, parang shuffle style. So, pinlay ko siya. I didn't know na nasa, corny music siya. So, parang ikaw, music. Yeah, ako. Ito pag-play mo, I want nobody but you. Parang kung lahat ng tao, tatuan siya, tapos ganyan yung tugtog. Alam mo yun, yun yung mga, yun yung mga, kaya.
I have something to add pala. Given na ano yan eh, scenario mo is nasa kotse. That time, yung pickup namin, wala pang Bluetooth yun. So hindi mo siya pwedeng i-connect, hindi mo pwedeng i-connect yung phone mo sa music, ay sa kotse for music. Hence bumili ako ng Bluetooth receiver. Pero before that, wala eh, radyo ko lang talaga eh, 'di ba? Ang lakas ng music noon, ano yun, sa ano pa ata ako nakinig doon sa Mellow. Tapos gusto ko yung music. Tinodo ko. Tapos nag-Windows down. So, ang astig, di ba? Yabang astig. Ay, sorry. Natapos yung kanta. Biglang commercial, corn beef yung lumabas mo rin. Sobrang iyang-iya ako na batik. Baba ako ng volume ng auto eh.
Parang ano yan eh. Free Spotify ka. Or sorry,
Free Spotify ka, di ba?
Spotify. O kaya hindi naka YouTube Premium. Ang lakas ng sound trip mo, di ba? Kaya ako, Brad, totoo. Kaya ako nag-YouTube Premium eh. Dahil yung nasa Lazada yan, biglang gagano. No? Biglang nasa Lazada yan. Yung mga tao, may headbang sa Lazada eh. Ayos ah. Pax, I want to go back to you, bro. Do you have your rig with you? I mean, what type of equipment do you use for photography?
Well, that's what I'm using right now here as my camera. It's Sony A7 III.
Wow.
Yeah, and then for lenses, I have must-have siya for portrait photography. 85 1.8, 85 millimeter f1.8, and then I have 50 f1.8. The Sony, one of Sony's most hated lenses. And then this one I'm using is 28 f2.
Magkano yun? Usually? Hindi,
Pwede
guys,
pong matanong kung pwede ba tayong gumawa na dito, Brad Adrian? Pwede ba natin itanong kay Bro Paco? Magkano na if okay lang Bro Paco na, magkano na ang total investment mo sa equipment mo in terms of videography and photography?
Too much than much more than I would like to admit. Yeah. Maybe my partner's here right now. If I mention anything like that, she'd be like, "What?"
Kaso maganda. Kasi umabot na ako
Yeah,
na.
yeah.
Tapos pinanood
Ibulong mo na lang.
Well, like
Hindi, bubulong nga ni Paco, Brad. Bubulong ni Paco.
Bubulong
Pero
niya,
yung
diba?
wife niya, di ba syempre share ko sa'yo, Pax, ito na yung edited version ng natin, ng podcast natin.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and show it or i-post mo siya. Di ba, panood ni Christine, di ba, napasama pa tayo. Pero tama tama naman. I mean, what you can do
Yeah, yeah.
is bulong mo lang. Pero, yun, kidding aside, if it's okay, na i-share mo,
Yeah,
magkano na
yeah.
yung total for
Well, like, so you're like a break. If I give you like a rundown or a breakdown, like the A7 III, I think is brand new now is like 130K, 120K. But it's an older camera. It's like 3 years old now, but it's still very good.
Mm.
The 85 before was like 35K, but I think now it's like down to 25, 28K for the 85 millimeter lens. And then the other two lenses I have are like the cheaper ones. Like the 50 is like about 15K, and then the 28 is probably like 18K, 20K. Oh, ganun.
So to sum it up, bro, magkano yung total lahat na sa tingin mo? Ballpark figure.
A lot, man. I honestly, I've lost track because like I have lights, and then I have rig setups,
Tripods.
and like I have a cage, and then like yeah, batteries. Like batteries are expensive. Then
Yeah.
there's a lot, man. I have lost track, but
Memory
definitely
card
like
pa.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But I've
Pero,
definitely lost track.
may question ako. On your own perspective, profile,
Yeah.
gusto ko lang malaman if you'll agree with this. Ang sabi nila, no, wala daw sa sandata yan, nasa taong gumagamit yan. So, would you agree na kahit mumurahin, let's say starter pack ang gamit ng isang videographer or photographer, talagang magbo-boil daw lahat yan sa skills? Or may factor talaga ang gamit?
So that's a very good question, and it's something that a lot of people talk about. Um, and like the question is parang they phrase it like, does gear matter, diba?
Mm,
Gear matters, yes, but like it all depends on the person using it. Then like a good example is, let's say, painting. I always jump back to like art and painting, diba? Like if you gave the same paint and paint brushes that Leonardo da Vinci used to someone, they won't be able to create the same masterpieces, diba? So
mm,
it's the same with the gear, with the camera and all that. Like yeah, it plays a role, an important factor in how you do things. There's a reason why you want such gear, but
Uh-huh.
like if you're starting out, you probably won't be able to use it to its full potential. Your skill will take you so far, but if you're limited by the gear, you can only do so much, diba?
mm.
Whereas if you had the gear that is almost limitless in terms of capabilities, plus the skill with that, you're unstoppable, so to speak.
Oh, tama. Actually, ano yan eh. Dapat talaga kung if you're gonna be investing, let's say you're gonna be doing a niche, kailangan meron ka both. Diba? Meron kang yan. For example, may skill ka, plus you have the equipment to do it. Kasi kung wala, for all aspiring um, musicians, content creators, videographers, photographers, podcasters, guys, research muna. Research muna kayo. That's the number one tool. Research, knowledge, and then, um, hands-on testing, diba, trials.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then, before you go ahead and invest for something na sobrang mahal. Tulad ko, try ko muna itong podcasting. Kung okay naman, kaya ko naman ng ganito. Tsaka ako mag-upgrade ng gamit. And it seems like it's working. So that's why I'm gonna go ahead and invest. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Actually, like a good point is like, like probably the most common questions like with photography sa mga groups and forums. It's like
Mhm.
the number one question a beginner would ask is like what camera they should get to start, diba? And I always mention like you can start with whatever your budget allows you to start with. Like if it's a phone and your phone camera, then start there. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that because you can learn composition and all that with that and with the phone, diba? And then once you understand composition and how like shutter speed works and ISO and all that, then you can probably invest in something once you have the budget. You can invest in a better camera. But you can
Oh,
start with
tama.
whatever you have. Yeah.
True, that's true. Kasi yung dati, naalala ko yun, na-addict din ako dyan eh. Alam mo yung lahat ng kuha ko naka-auto lang. Naka-automatic lang. Tapos, shoutout pala Mike Wong, bro Mike Wong. Kasama ko sa TP before. He's into photography as well. Tinuruan niya ako nung, you know, aperture, the lower the aperture, the blur the background, something like that, the bokeh
Mm.
shots and everything. So that helped me fight through it, to my way through the photography. And a big factor pala dyan, yung lighting mo, how does lighting goes, how, lahat, ang dami na. Sabi ko, I'm bringing board party para magastos na bisyo to. Sabi ko. Pero, alam mo yun, later on, parang kung yung hilig mo, suporta mo. Gagastos ka talaga sa hilig mo, sa trip. Totoo yan. Hindi mo si Paco, ang laki na ng ginastos. So, Christine, totoo yan, si Paco magastos. Buti na lang naka ito. Ayun. Balik tayo sa music, bro. Who's your favorite singer? Pax.
For me right now, and I don't know if you've heard of this artist. It's Aurora.
Aurora.
Yeah. So like she's a bit mainstream because she came out on one of the Disney movies like a couple of years back. But like way back 2016, I just found a random YouTube video, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Who is this person? It's in Aurora.
Ano, favorite singer of all time? Like, lahat. Lahat.
That's
Hanggang
tough.
tumanda ka siguro pakikinig.
I don't know how to answer that. I've never like I don't round it down to like one specific artist na parang I can listen to that forever. I don't know. That's tough. Like I don't think I can have like one specific artist just to listen to.
Mm-hmm. Ikaw, Clay. Who's your favorite singer?
Favorite singer talaga. Hindi banda, singer lang. Michael Bublé. Yun,
That's the one.
medyo baduy. Baduy talaga, no? Pero
It's
wala
actually
eh,
good.
magaling.
Michael Bublé, if you're gonna go ahead and compare Michael Bublé kay Frank Sinatra, oh, talaga yung magkadikit yan. Yung
Yan eh,
boses ni
Frank
Frank
Sinatra
Sinatra,
and Michael Bublé, yes.
oo. Nung high school ako, pronunciation ko Michael Bubble. Michael Bubble. Ewan ko, for who's gonna go ahead and listen to this in the future, laugh at me. Ganun talaga. Michael Bubble. Ako, Freddie Mercury, I would say. And John
Freddie
Lennon.
Mercury.
Freddie Mercury and John Lennon. It's two. Pero kung if you're gonna, kasi depende eh. For rock songs, it's gonna be power metal songs. It's gonna be Freddie Mercury. But for actually, I would go for Elvis pa nga eh. Favorite singer of
Ang
all time.
alam ko,
Kasi
isa pang paborito mo rin si, ano eh, si Elton John, di ba?
yes. For a
The
metal guy,
Rocket Man.
okay, metal, punk, rock, rap metal and rap. Kaya yun talaga doon ako pumapasok ng mga artists kasi that's the fundamentals of music. It's not because of the fundamentals of music, but if you're gonna listen to them, talagang magaling.
Mm.
Alam mo yun, on that time, 1950s, when Elvis Presley recorded these songs, pare wala pang launchpad, wala pang kahit anong mixer. Imagine mo, record na nila yun sa um, plus 15 decibel oy, ano to this is fun fact. Plus 15 decibel na mga speakers,
Mm.
magigitara sila doon. Wala pa namang audio in yan eh. Galing,
Mm.
sabi ko. Imagine yung tenga nila para matimpla mo yung ganong sound. It's different. Galing.
Husay talaga.
Oo. Ikaw, Pax, wala pa talaga. So, no specific singer of all time.
I can't like because I listen to like a lot of singers and a lot of music, and it's hard to like round it down to just one specific artist. Um, yeah, sorry, Christine's like, it's hard to round it down to one specific artist, but um, I can't like I listen to a lot like anything from like Bee Gees to Beatles to Dashboard, and it really depends on my mood. Like I can't listen to like Beatles if I'm in really like amped and stoked about something. You listen to something fast paced and rock, diba?
Mhm.
If there's anything that's probably close, siguro like Queen, kasi their music transcends genre, diba? Like they
Oh,
have like fast paced rock and melodic stuff. So maybe Queen, yeah.
for nabanggit mo si Dashboard kanina. Alam mo, I kind of like the voice of Dashboard Confessional. I don't know the guy who's in Dashboard, unfortunately. Pero kaboses si Steve ng Typecast. Tapos ang taas-taas ng boses niya. Parang, alam mo yun, hindi siya yung regular guy na pag tinignan mo siya as a vocals, hindi yung mukha niya eh, di ba? Parang, ay, ang gwapo mo, men, tapos kumakata ka ng ganyan. Tapos, alam mo yun, hindi tugma. Do you have those? Kunwari ikaw, Clay. Do you have an artist in mind na wala sa mukha niya na gano'n kaganda yung boses niya?
Hirap ng tanong mo ah. Hirap ng tanong mo ah. Uh, hindi, wala ko kilalang ganun eh. Parang so far, bagay sa kanila yung kinakanta nila eh.
Oh? Ako meron.
Sino?
Si Pash Pash.
Oh,
Akala ko kasi,
Ay
ano eh,
ako.
una akala ko, ano eh, akala ko, hindi siguro marunong magsalita to. Pero, ikaw, Max, did you have one in mind?
Yeah, there one comes to mind. Yes, si ano, si vocalist ng ano, Coheed and Cambria.
Oo. Oo
Diba?
nga, no?
He's a scruffy looking guy tapos napakataas ng boses niya, diba? Like,
Boses, tama, tama.
okay.
Oo, totoo. Para sa Sausin, do you know Sausin band? Do you listen to Sausin? Or familiar ka
I,
with
I've
Sausin?
I've I'm familiar. I've heard their songs, but I don't know like their titles and stuff.
For friends, please, if you have something like, tawag dyan, na gusto kailangan nyo magpa, ng photography,
mhm.
kailangan nyo ng tulong sa pag-videograph or photography, just visit facebook.com/pacom.photography. Uh, his Instagram is paco.com or instagram.com/pacom. Eh, may sariling website si Paco eh. No? So, youtube.com/Paco M Photography. Eh, makikita mo lahat ng mga shoots niya dyan. If you're gonna go and take a look at the profile. So, ayun. Sorry, na gonna see, Clay, you're gonna be living in
Yes,
Honolulu.
yes. Oh, yun, no, as much as I hate to leave this podcast tonight, I have some errands that I need to do.
Yan, may mga errands yan. Eh.
So yun, no, thank you, Brad Adrian, and it was really, really nice to meet you, bro Paco. I hope to see you on the nearest future. No?
Yeah,
Nandun tayo
awesome,
sa...
awesome talking, man. Yeah.
Sa mga
Alright.
future podcast natin, baka mag-mainstay yan si Paco dito.
Yes,
Sure.
yes.
Yan, yan. Yun, anything that, sige brother, we'll keep an,
Alright, alright. See you guys.
alright, see you.
For the viewers, tune in lang, no? And I'll see you guys again. Bye.
Thanks, Faye.
See you, man.
Yun, kay Paco. Balik tayo. Meron
Yeah.
ka bang i-plug na mga uh, YouTube channel like you to boost your views for that specific video, like tips?
Yeah. Well, if you're looking for tips and stuff, I have like videos like that on my YouTube channel. You can check it out. But like if you wanna like follow me on YouTube, if you wanna see like photo shoots behind the scenes, I do that sort of stuff on my channel. Um, a lot rarer now actually because like I know you were talking about in one of your other videos, recent videos, you're talking about like the pandemic, diba? So it is harder to move around. So I don't do that a lot right now, but I still try.
Oh, syempre. Pero do you have any tips for our aspiring photographers and videographers? Do you have like tips in order for them to, or basic tips like step 1, 2, 3?
For like photography,
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Well, number one is like if they're looking to start, they can start with like any camera. Like I know I said earlier, like gear matters, but what's more important is you start and you start doing and start learning, regardless of like what gear you have. So if you're shooting on a cell phone, then that's great. You can start there. Also is second tip is to like shoot a lot and filter out the noise. Like you're gonna join groups and get opinions from other people, and some people will have genuinely good feedback, but a lot of times it's noise, and you just have to filter out the noise and
In
be
terms of
happy with
noise,
what you're doing. Yeah,
what do you mean by noise? Kasi for music or for
yeah.
podcasting, I'll put this in this way. Kasi ito na yung, kumbaga yung ngayon na kinalolokohan ko.
Yeah.
Kasi before, yeah, noise for our reviewers. What do you mean in terms of noise for photography?
When I talk about noise, I'm talking about like people in general, not like noise in photography, but like when you put something out, you're gonna get like people that like your work, and you're gonna get
Mm-hmm.
random people that will hate on you and comment, and sometimes it doesn't mean anything. It's just noise.
Oh,
Diba? Na
okay.
parang, oh,
Parang
why?
yung mga,
But yeah,
parang mga nagbabash sa'yo, parang hayaan mo lang sila, ganun.
yeah. Like parang, oh, but ganito yung shoot mo, but ganito yung ginawa mong shot, dapat ganito, dapat ganyan, right? They'll point out certain things, and some people do have a point, but
Mm.
sometimes it's just people yapping and they don't really have a point and they're just hating, and it's just noise. Like it happens anywhere in life, diba? Parang there's a lot of
Meron
noise
talaga.
anywhere you go. Yeah, yeah. So you just have to filter out the noise, and then what's important is that you're happy with what you're doing, with what you're shooting. That
Yeah,
that's
that's
really it.
actually
Yeah.
true. Parang, ano yan eh, parang if we're gonna go to it's a point of view of music, wherein, let's say, our band covers, let's say, alam mo yun, before we cover like Sausin, sorry, Finch, right?
Yeah.
Tapos, there are a lot of, let's say, si Blue, who's my drummer before, before we formed the band, ano siya eh, punkista siya eh. Alam mo, tapos sabihin niya, ano ba, emo yung tugtugan mo. Nowadays, we're gonna go and think about, hey, parang iisa lang naman lahat yan. It's music. But then, there are a lot of people who makes noise, right? Tama rin naman.
Yeah.
Parang wag mo na lang intindihin, no?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and what else do you have on tips?
Yeah. So like filter out the noise, and then like if you want to get like upgrades in your gear, you want to make sure that you're addressing a problem. Like if you feel limited by your gear, kasi diba I used to shoot Canon, and I used to shoot
Mm.
Canon ko is APS-C, and I was shooting on APS-C for like 4 5 years, I think, and crop sensor ako.
Oo.
And I didn't upgrade until I feel like na parang, oh shoot, you know what, hindi ko na magawa yung gusto kong gawin. Like night shots,
Mm.
it's hard to shoot in low light and at night with APS-C. You need to go full frame talaga, diba? So every time you add gear to your bag, make sure it's something that's useful and that you're solving, and not just because na, oh, this looks cool.
Oo, tama, tama,
Yeah,
tama. Doon nga pumapasok yung, yung, um, wag mong pagmamayabang yung gear mo kung di mo naman kaya gamitin. 'Di ba? Parang,
yeah,
ano
yeah,
yan eh, it works with guitars. Ako I'll be honest with you. There are a lot of musicians who has very good guitar pare. Sobrang ganda ng gitara niya. Tapos, the songs that he's playing is really not into that specific guitar. Like, he's holding a Flying V guitar, a Washburn na Flying V guitar, tapos ang tugtugan mo, hindi pasok dun sa Flying V. So, it
yeah,
doesn't make any sense. Right? So, yun yung, yun yung point of view ko where, where you're coming from. Parang, kumbaga sa music, uh, in line with music, it's it completely doesn't make any sense. Like, holding
yeah,
a
yeah,
so badass na, let's say you're holding a very badass drumstick, and then you're playing on an electric drums, which
yeah,
doesn't make any sense. Kasi dapat sa electric drums naka nylon ka para hindi masira yung mga gamit mo. So parang wag kang ano tawag dito, wag mong i-flex yung gamit mo if it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Yun.
Like I mean, it's nice to have good gear, pero like
Mm,
a beginner doesn't need to shoot on a 200,000 peso camera. Like you're starting off, and you
true.
could probably buy it, but you won't be able to use it to its full potential once you understand how things work and how you.
True. Yes, agree. Be updated on upcoming podcast guests. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/musicaringunit. We'll see you there. Tapos, I want to go ahead and call out sorry, do a big shout out for our sponsors, the Tapsi Project, which is in DFRV, and Black Empire, facebook.com/Black Empire main branch. If you want to go ahead and order your vape gears, Zerka Sauce, facebook.com Zerka Sauce, and shopee.ph/Zerka_sauce. If you want to go ahead and get your spices. Yan. Solid yan, bro. Do you cook pa? Do you...
Not as much as I want to, man. Like Christine does all the cooking.
Oh, talaga? Kasi ano
Yeah.
eh, alam mo yun, that's something that I do for... Yeah, big shout out pala, Carlos and Kimboy of tawag dito, Bay. Nakalimutan ko na naman yung pangalan ng ano niya, YouTube channel niya. He will be one of our guests in the future once he comes in or comes back to video editing, video creating, video creation rather. Um, ano siya, tawag dito, sobrang galing na cook and chef. So, dun ko pinapanood yung mga styles of cooking. Parang dun ako naiinganyo na magluto-luto. So, yun, power tayo ng Zerka Sauce. Yan. Si Zerka Sauce, meron siyang mga pang, tawag dito, baby back ribs na rub, mga ganyan. Yung mga barbecue sauce nila, sobrang solid. So, you wanna go and check out shopee.ph/Zerka Sauce um, for their sauces, basically. Diba? Ano pa ba? Ano pa ba yung bibili mo sa kanila? Eh, di sauce lang. Yun. Pero I wanna go and ask, ano ba yung, how do you do your influences? Like, do you often take a look at photos of specific photographers, style of videography for tulad ko, when I do podcasting, si Pat, tinitingnan ko yung isang podcaster. He does video podcasting and audio podcasting. Doon ko rin natutunan yung hihimayin ko siya.
Yeah.
Big shout out si Master Oli, nagturo sa akin niya paano maghimay ng video and music and pagkakabitin mo sila. So, shout out Oli. Pareho tayo na hook up kay Boss Oli, yung nakasama na siya both photography, videography and everything. So, parang ako naman I kind of twisted over to podcasting, to video content creation. Kayo dito mostly sa video and photography. So, I wanna go and check but ano ba yung sino yung nag-influence mo in order for you to do photography?
Yeah. There are a few people I follow, like Sean Tucker, and it's not like, see, Sean Tucker is based in the UK, and he does portrait and street photography, but like I don't I follow him, but he doesn't influence me in terms of like how his style is, but more on his philosophy. So he does podcasts, then he talks. He does videos on YouTube, then he talks about philosophy and stuff behind photography. That's what I follow with him. Is that he has some really good stuff about like why you shoot and like how how an image speaks to you and all of that. Not necessarily his style, but I follow him because of that. And then in terms of like style ng video, like I guess one very famous and very good influence would be si Daniel Schiffer. And if you're on YouTube and you do video, you probably know Daniel Schiffer because he shoots everything handheld. Like he doesn't use like a gimbal.
Oh,
And
talaga? Parang
yeah,
ano
yeah.
siya, parang freestyle photography ganun.
Oh, well, he see Daniel Schiffer does more video and like
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So like for video work, kasi like you want like stable footage, diba? And a lot of people now like they use gimbals. 'Cause gimbals are cheaper now, diba? So like
Uh,
yeah,
gimbals for the viewers, gimbals are yung handheld device wherein it will
yeah,
paano ba to, stabilize your video. So for
yeah.
vloggers, that's what they use. So Dati kasi hindi uso yun eh. Alam mo
Yeah,
yung pag
yeah,
ikaw, pasmado na yung kamay mo, you won't be able to do your videography and you won't be able to do
yeah,
your photography unless and otherwise you hold your tripod, diba? Naka-tripod ka para maging
yeah, yeah,
stable lang.
exactly.
So those were your influences. How did you, paano ka napunta sa photography? Ano yung ano, point in time? Why do you, from music lover, I mean, you're a music lover until now, of
Yeah,
course, but
yeah, yeah.
how did you transition over to yung hilig mo from music going to videography?
Uh so like I was explaining kanya like it was always like a frustration, but like my dad used to have a camera and like I always wanted to get into it. But I think like that started around 2013, 2011, 2013, where I needed like a change in what I do. Kasi diba before we used to
Mm.
skate, diba? And then aside
Uh,
from skateboarding, I used to be like um one of my other hobbies na sobrang gusto ko is like magic, diba?
oh, yun. Oo nga pala,
Yeah,
guys.
diba?
FYI, Paco does street magic, like insane street magic, like David Blaine level street magic. Kaya I was warped out nung ginagawa niya itong mga to. Parang sabi ko, na sobrang solid.
Yeah.
Paano niya ginagawa to? Um, yeah, how did you step out of that? I mean, what what was the transition point in life?
Man, that's a very long and complicated story. But to put it simple, like I needed a change in my life. Like so I had this like ex I broke up with, diba? So I had to
Mm.
step away, and that's when I started. I moved here and like stepped away from everything, and I left like magic and all the other stuff behind, and I wanted like a fresh start. And that's where it started. So I met a friend, and he had like cameras, like I said, and I borrow his cameras, and that's how I started like doing photography, even like without my own camera, because I just borrowed his cameras and his lenses, diba? Yeah. Um, but it wasn't until like 2014, around 2014. Christine, she actually gave me my first camera. She bought me my first camera as a birthday gift.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And that's where it started to
So,
pick up. Like the rest is history.
you've been shooting for almost a decade now, right? Around 2000.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
last time that we saw each other was like around 2012. You were doing street magic, and then
yeah,
yun, nag-transition ka to photography. Actually,
yeah,
ako naman, huminto ako ng photography ko. I didn't stall. Alam mo yun, wala siyang point in life na nagtumigil ako. Uh, it was just one time, or, yun nga, sabi ko siya, kinakatamaran ko siya, mainly because I don't go out yet. Parang hindi na siya
yeah,
ganun, hindi na ako lagi nasa labas. But before, pag nag-aakyat kami ng bundok or we do mountaineering, there's a lot of scenes that you can go ahead and do shoots, right? So
yeah,
until such time that my kid went out, I mean, lumabas na yung panganay ko, dun ako nag-focus like still photography and studio style photography. And then lumabas yung bunso, dun studio style photography pa rin ako sa kanya. But then after that, the pandemic hit, wala, hindi ko siya ginawa. Kumbaga, wala na akong photography na ginagawa. Parang special events na lang, like birthdays ng birthday ko, birthday ni Cutie, Christmas Eve, alam mo yun, New Year's
yeah,
Eve, yun,
yeah,
doon ko lang nahawakan yung camera ko. Pero after, quite some time, wala na eh. Ang huli kong hawak sa akin, January pa. Then, I focus more on using my phone instead. Uh, that's why, again, Paco will be doing some shoots for Music Hearing Unit. Yan, tuturuan niya tayo for basic tips on how does he do his angles, like basic angles. What do you have in plate for basic angles, basic zoom ins, basic bokeh shots, and everything?
for video, for photo,
For photo, let's start for photo.
for photo. Like for when it comes to like composition, a very good starting point is like the rule of thirds. Kasi the rule of thirds has everything else there. Um, so w- what's the rule of thirds? Basically, if you have like your screen or your sensor and you chop it up into sections of three, you'll have like an
Mhm.
overlaying grid of squares, diba? So yun yung
Yeah.
tinatawag nilang like rule of thirds. Yeah, yeah. And from there, you can like do center composition because you know where your center is, right? And with that, since you have like horizontal lines, you know that your horizon is level and you can put your horizon on the lower line.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then if you're doing like portrait or even street, like you have the intersecting sections, that's where you want to put
Uh,
like your subject because that's where like the focus of interest would be.
uh,
Yeah. So very, very handy in rule of thirds. I can like talk about it for like 10, 20 minutes.
like,
But yeah,
mahaba.
look it up.
Marami.
Mahaba. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot you can look into it. Yeah.
So when you say your rule of thirds, it also applies for videos, right? Kasi ako, I'll be honest, guys. Right now, I'm using rule of thirds. I have a grid line in my camera. Syempre, di makikita dito yan. But I have a grid line. I make sure that I'm on the center. The mic will be on the center as well. Pero for podcasting, you can do it like this. Nandito yung mic, nandito. But I just feel like talking in front of the mic. But yeah, that's true. Rule of thirds really works. Kunwari ito yung grid line mo, make sure your eyes are above, right? Tama ba?
Yep. Yep.
Or your subject's eyes will be above the grid line in the middle. Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. So for lighting, what do you usually do for lighting?
So I actually prefer to shoot with like light. I just don't get to because like people outside, like security guards, will be like, "Hey, sir, bawal yan." Right?
Oh,
Bawal mag-set up ng lights. Parang skateboard lang, di ba? Parang, "Uy, bawal
meron,
mag-skateboard." Parang,
meron time I just want to share. There was one time that I'm doing videography in BGC, Upper McKinley.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, nasa ano kami, I'm doing a video for, it's a music video for one artist. Um, alam mo yung tawiran from uh, McKinley 810 na building, patawid papunta sa plaza, ay, ano na to, yung piazza?
Parang walkway.
Oh, yung walkway.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
doing
yeah.
the palapit yung vocals dun. Yung focal point will be palapit yung vocals sa akin, then magpapass siya. Tinakas ko pa siya, bro. As in, nilagay ko lang yung bag doon sa baba. Kasi nasita na ako eh. I was setting my tripod. Andyan na yung lights, nilagay nila. So, ginawa ko, in-invert ko na lang siya. Parang black and white ko na lang. Kasi talaga sobrang dilim nung dating.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
pag in-invert mo siya, di ba, pag nag-black and white ka, medyo okay. You can adjust the settings post-production.
Yeah.
So, yun. Pero totoo yun. Yung, people or security guards will go ahead and, uy, sir, bawal dito. Bawal pong picturean yan. Bawal, ano. Siguro iniisip nila, ano ba, kinokopya ko ba yun? Alam mo yun? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
Well, what's your input about that, bro? Parang, sa tingin mo, bakit pinagbabawalan pati yung photography ng mga yan?
Well, like I think a lot of the times it's like they just following rules, following orders, diba? Pero generally speaking, if you're out in public, no one
Uh,
can really stop you from doing like they have no right to say like, "Oh, sir, bawal yan,"
oh,
diba?
I mean,
But if you yeah,
for people, if in the future viewers or sino makikinig ng podcast na to, um, comment nyo lang or send us a message here, Music Caring Unit. Why do you think these people or this management, kung meron man makikinig dito na nasa management level or security management level, why do you think photography is not allowed in malls or in a certain walkway, pathways? Mga ganyan. I just want to go ahead and know, syempre, as a content creator, bakit nga naman bawal yun? Kasi ako, personally, bro, I don't want to be on all my cast nandito ako nasa studio. I want to go ahead and do something like a podcast series of my live recording, which I have, a coffee shop behind me. Pero alam ko bawal yun. So, I don't know. Siguro, if future viewers, future listeners comment your inputs, feel free. And pero going back on your influences, I mean on your tips rather. Aside from the rule of thirds, what do you go ahead and suggest for our aspiring photographers and videographers?
uh, uh, one thing so you're the best tip I have since I do portrait, diba? Number one pet peeve ko is like not watching out for the background. Like
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of people out there that are doing like, good. They have like great work, but it gets ruined by the background. Like they have a shot na ang ganda ng lighting, ang ganda ng bagsak ng light, ang ganda ng kuha. Tapos may puno sa likod na lumalabas sa ulo. Like there's a tree popping out from
Oh,
the back, diba? Parang like, yeah. Or even like worse is maganda yung shot. So yung background, like construction, puro scaffolding ang gulo. Na parang
uh,
it takes, detracts from the image. Na parang sayang.
what what do you think will be your worst shot na na nakuha mo? Like, what's the very worst thing of photography that happened to you?
Oh, dude, I have a lot. Um, like not watching your exposure, diba? Like, you have like your histogram and like your meter na parang minsan di mo nakapansin pagbalik mo sa bahay, shoot, overexposed yung image, diba?
Oh,
Parang,
do you have a time wherein you wasted a specific shot wherein, let's say, you're filming or you're doing a photography and all of a sudden, let's say, I don't know, I idolize people for music. Let's say someone who you really admire, you want to go and take a photo of him. Meron bang
yeah.
nasayang na photo? Parang trashed photo because of that.
Yeah. I think it happens to a lot of people where we miss like certain pictures about like, oh shoot, sayang ganda ng shot sana, diba? I think we all have that. I Whether it's because na the shutter speed was too slow, my motion blur, or it's underexposed or overexposed. Yeah, I definitely have a lot. Not so much to do with like the A7 III, because the A7 III is full frame and it has like a wider band in terms of dynamic range. So like kahit
Uh,
underexposed din, recover mo yan. Or minsan kahit overexposed, recover mo pa siya eh.
Talaga.
But definitely
Meron
like earlier on. Yeah.
meron siyang settings to post edit, like let's say it's overexposed, then you're gonna have to edit through your camera. Meron ganun.
No. Sa Lightroom na. So like when you shoot, by shoot and you shoot in RAW. Ideally, you want to shoot in RAW because that captures like the most data. Hindi pa siya image. It's like a digital negative, diba? So pag underexposed siya, minsan you can kick up the exposure pa na kahit na dark na siya or black, makita mo pa yung details eh.
Ah, I see.
Or
So it's
or
more
the
on.
reverse, like kahit na blown out like highlight, sobrang liwanag. You can bring down the exposure, makita mo pa yung clouds and yung sky.
I see. Alam mo, meron ako share dyan, bro. It's in, parang meron akong nasayang na photo with Chito Miranda. Um, Bata pa ako nun. Like, it was like around 2003, 2002. Um,
Mhm.
Kasi sa Casino Filipino, they had a gig when you, although bawal yun eh. Bata pa ako, pinapasok ako ng Casino Filipino because of the gig of Parokya ni Edgar. Yung camera phones na hindi na pa man ganun kaganda eh. We have the flip phones, remember the Razor, Motorola Razor and everything. So,
Yeah.
pumasok ako doon. Ang guard kasi sa pagpasok mo ng Casino Filipino or any casinos, lalagyan nila ng tape yan eh para matakpan yung camera.
Yeah.
So, sobrang excitement ko, tumutugtog na yung parokya. I went in front of stage, kinunan ko sila. Tapos pag uwi ko, na, may, wala, it was just black. Sabi ko, bakit ganun? Tapos merong slit na konting white. Nakita mo yung pantalon. Or may makikita kang isang image. Sabi ko, tingin ko doon
Yeah.
sa camera, pati ko sa likod. Shit, may takip. Tapos meron naman time, I was shooting. Kasi di ba, all the digital cameras right now has their frames na eh. Right? Yung
Yeah.
makikita mo na ano yung kinignan mo, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Kala ko sobrang gaganda ng mga kuha kasi the lighting from the natural light pag tinignan mo siya kasi I'm really used to shooting in nature photos eh, so sobrang overexposure, lahat na sayang isang buong trip agad agad sa security, wala ka man na nakuha magandang photos. Sabi ko ganyan talaga eh. What's your input about that? Like, do you suggest like do a point and shoot instead, or ano ba, stick ka dun sa manual mode mo?
So like what I always tell people who ask this question, na parang, should I learn manual? Yes, like it's always good to learn manual, but you don't have to shoot in manual right away. Like shoot in auto. There's nothing wrong with shooting in auto. And like especially like if you're not used to it, pana, you're afraid you might miss the shot, shoot in auto. But it's good to know manual kasi nga like if you shoot an auto and you look at the image and parang, "Oy, I don't like how it came out." You know what to do when you switch to manual and get the shot the way you want it.
Mm.
Diba?
So you suggest like, kasi ano yan eh, alam mo yung pabilisan ng kamay.
Yeah.
Alam mo yun, from manual, you're gonna go it. Kasi ako, again guys, I'm a photographer as well. Not that as good as this guys. I mean, alam mo yun, I can go ahead and still, shoot photos. Pero it will take time again. Kasi, ano siya eh, alam mo yun, practice makes perfect, right?
Yeah.
Even for bands, even for music, musician ka, paulit-ulitin mo yung track, panigurado yan, mapaperfect mo yan. But for photography, um, kailangan pabilisin ng kamay for manual eh. Do you have those things na automatic na yung daliri mo, automatic na yung kamay mo to switch those settings in and out?
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot easier with mirrorless like the A7 III kasi what you see is what you get sa likod. It's not like sa DSLR na when you look, you have to watch your meter, diba? So you don't know what
Mm.
you're gonna get when you take the shot. With the A7 III, it's faster. So like you look at the screen, you put it up, and then like either viewfinder or the screen, like everything's there, like aperture, shutter, ISO, and then lahat eh. So you look at it and you can adjust on the fly what you want, and you can see
Mabilisan.
how what comes out
Oo,
real
kasi
time.
dati diba yung mga camera, di ano pa eh, di dial. Saan na to? Tapos
Manual,
hanapin
yeah,
mo pa.
yeah,
Oo. That's
yeah, yeah.
what's good with digital stage. We have all those settings already preloaded with your camera and your equipment. Unlike before na sobrang, alam mo yun, dun siguro pumapasok yung sinasabi ni Brother Clay kanina na it's the Indian at the pana. Kasi kahit sobrang ganda nga ng equipment mo, if you don't know how to use that, wala.
Yeah,
Yun.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yun, again, we have Paco Manalo of Paco M Photography. Um, if you guys want to go ahead and book like photography and videography, you can visit his page at facebook.com/Paco M Photography. His Instagram is Instagram.com/Paco M Photography, and please visit his YouTube channel and subscribe na rin, youtube.com/Paco M Photography for any booking. Guys, you can go ahead and take a look at his page. There's a lot of good shots. I mean, kahit ako, when I scroll his profile on his Facebook page, sobrang solid. Ang gaganda ng mga kuha. So, yun, any shout outs, messages to people?
No man, I'm a one man team. If there's anyone I want to shout out to, like the models that I shoot with
Ah,
often, like they're the best. Like I love working with them.
mm,
Especially to like Justine. Shout out to
say
Justine. Yeah, yeah.
Justine. Hi now, Justine. All right. So it's almost 1.5 hour in our podcast. We want to go ahead and again, I want to go ahead and thank our sponsors: Topsy Project, Black Empire, Zirka Sauce, and please visit www.musicarmy.com for your booking for your music school. Yun. So Paco, brother, very very appreciated for you joining us tonight. And we learned a lot in terms of photography. Ano ba yung mga styles mo? What type of music did you input for your videos? Ano ba yung dapat nararapat na? For example, you're using a video or you're shooting this specific video. Ano yung music na ginagamit mo? And thank you very much for sharing those to Musikaring Unip and to us, the hosts. And pare, sobrang solid. Yun.
Thanks for having me, man.
No problem, pare. You can always be here. Just let me know kung if you're up into like kwentuhan for music. And I think that will end our Feb 14 or Valentine's Day special with Paco, the videographer and photographer. Again, guys, video and photo lang, walang ibang bagay gagawin. Naiimbitahan. But meron ba yun? Pare na, do you shoot this?
No, no, you're gonna get me in trouble with Christine, man.
Kasi alam mo, I have one friend, a photographer friend. Hindi ko na disclose he's really into nude photography, and yeah, that's for people. Hey guys, come on. let's step outside
It's
the
art. It's
prudes.
art. Yeah.
Alam mo yun, meron talaga ganun. And please, guys, marites. Huwag mo naman sabihin na porno ka agad yun. It's an
No.
art. Nude
Yeah.
photography is an art. Now, I won't disclose the name. And dude, just keep on doing what you're doing for the guy who's doing nude photography. We admire your work. Send mo muna sa akin bago mo i-post. Post-production, you can go ahead and do me as a quality control. And sa amin na lang yun. I'm kidding. But, for aspiring people and for the people who's boosting us, thank you. Andyan naman yung mga nagsasabi na just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing great. You know, for Paco, pare, isa ako sa fan ng your photography. And again, thank you very much for joining in Music Airing Unit.
Thank you so much, man.
So that will conclude our night with Music Airing Unit with Paco Manalo. And you guys have a good night. And enjoy the rest of your week or your week and your day.